So, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today, and I'm really excited to have Jon Loomer here today with me. And I'm just going to kind of read off some notes that I wrote down here. Jon's a Facebook marketing consultant focused on advanced metrics and advertising topics. His first exposure to Facebook marketing was while with the NBA in 2007, which is very cool. And on his blog, jonloomer.com, which you should definitely check out. Tons of resources on Jon's blog. I've been digging, reading about it. And he was named one of Social Media Examiner's top 10 social media blogs of 2013, which is a huge honor. And I got to know Jon as a referral from Mari Smith, who I follow, and Jon, I've just been digging, learning about you and reading your content. You've got great content out there, and your podcast is amazing, and you're doing some really great things out there. So, Jon, welcome to the show, and if you could, fill folks in on anything I missed here, appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. I mean, it's an honor, and really appreciate being here. I mean, I love hearing things like that. Much of what I've done over the last 2 years has kind of been an experiment, right? So I started out my blog out of necessity, my website out of necessity after I was laid off in August of 2011, and didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I just started writing. I didn't know I was starting a business. I just started writing about social media in general, writing about marketing in general, but nothing specific. And then it was really when Facebook timeline for pages came out last, I think it was the end of February to March. I just started becoming a Facebook marketing guy. And so anybody who wants to know how to build your niche blogging, I've got some tips just from failures and for finding my way, right? Because I wasn't really figuring it out until I started focusing on one thing and becoming known as that Facebook guy. And so now I'm really focusing not even just on Facebook marketing, but the more advanced stuff that no one else is talking about. And yeah, that's really me.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being here today, and I actually, I've been scouring through your content, so I've got like pages of notes here, and one of the things I love about being in this community is that there's just so many people with so much knowledge, and I got like 2-3 pages of notes here, so I'm going to kind of ask you a couple questions that I jotted down today specifically,
Right.
as I'm getting to know you. So I want to talk about community building. I mean, you've got a huge community, man. You've got like 12,000 likes on your page.
Right.
People interact with you a lot. So you say something to your audience. It's not just obviously not manufactured likes. I mean, people really like your stuff. They talk
Yeah.
about you. They're commenting back. So you've got a really good community, and I've heard. It's different to build a community now. Well, let me give you some background on that. I ran a martial arts school before I did this stuff. That's how I got into social media and internet marketing, and I jumped on everything I could that had to do with the internet. It was an exciting time to be running a business for me and being in
Right.
technology, because all these new things happen. Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and then Facebook, and a lot of changes. And I've built communities over and over again. I built up the martial arts school community. I built up my online marketing community. Then I built up my local business community, and I recently started over again. So I've noticed there's differences that have cropped up. It's different than when I first started doing it in the martial arts school. Now it's different than it was last year. It's not that it's harder. It's just changed. And I was hoping you could talk about, do you think it's, number one, do you think it's harder now or easier now? And what do you see coming? What do you see people should be doing with what they've got now?
It's a good question. I think the consensus, what you'll hear from people is that it's harder. I haven't seen any study that backs that up. It doesn't mean there isn't one. It doesn't mean it's not true. But there are a lot of things that people say about Facebook. It drives me crazy. They just say it's true without having a graph, something showing, engagement or growth or whatever over time and how it's easier or harder. I've never seen that. I think The reason why people say that is because of this weird obsession we have with the stat of reach.
Yeah.
Okay, and the idea of edge rank, and the fact that you only reach 10% to 16% or whatever it is of your fans. The thought was people. I think there's this misconception that recently, within the last year or whatever, Facebook started preventing your fans from seeing your stuff. It's just not true. Like if you do the math, you know that if that half of your fans are online every day on Facebook every day. Those who are on between 30 and 60 minutes. So when you post, you're just not going to reach most of them. It's just true. And if you look at Twitter, I bet you're reaching 5% or less of your people with each tweet on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so that's a point I make often whenever I hear people freaking out about that, and I think that's the source of it. Now, I will say, I mean, it is hard. I mean, when I started in the end of 2011, I was talking to myself for the first month, and I think a lot of people do that. I wrote 36 posts that month, and on 28 of those, I received no comments or likes. Now, the difference for me was I didn't quit. I think a lot of people would either quit or they'd start tapering off how much they post and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right? Because you're like, this is frustrating, and it was frustrating. But I think it's important to stick to a routine and believe in what you're doing, and it will eventually come. I mean, you still have to be strategic about it, but you can't just try it for a month and that didn't work.
Right. You're
And
giving people a lot of credit with thinking they stick with it for a month.
I know. But I think I give my example because just to show people that it is possible. You just got to keep working. And no, I didn't have this huge budget, especially. I mean, for the first year or so, I had so little budget for advertising.
Right.
So and that's why I say that even if you've got a $5 monthly budget, I don't care what it is, carve out a small Facebook advertising budget because this is one of the things that has changed, but for the better, and that you can target people in incredible ways to help grow your audience. And so if you, let's say, for example, you have an established email list, but you haven't yet established your Facebook page. You can use a feature called custom audiences where you load in your email list. Facebook matches up those email addresses to current Facebook users. You can target ads at them saying, hey, make sure you like my page. I know you could even say, I know you're subscribed to my newsletter. I don't know if that would be creepy. And, like my page. And so you're sending it to much more relevant people, which I'm sure you'll recall in the beginning of Facebook ads, completely irrelevant ads all the time, like get rich quick schemes and all this kind of stuff. And now people should notice that the stuff they see, especially if they update their profile with relevant information, they're going to see stuff, and they like other pages, they're going to see stuff that's relevant to them.
Yeah. It's so relevant that it's scary.
For some people, and it's new. But hey, because I often ask the question, would you rather have stuff that's relevant to you or not? And then a lot of times the answer is, I wish there's no advertising at all. Well, that's not an option.
Right.
Like, Facebook's got to make money.
They're going to do it.
So they have to. It's just ridiculous. So would you rather have advertising that's actually relevant to you or just completely random stuff? And the thing is, when it's actually relevant to you, sometimes it's actually helpful.
Oh, yeah.
And when advertising that really works, you don't even realize it's an ad in the first place.
Right.
Even though the vast majority of people are going to deny it that they ever like an ad. A lot of times it actually works.
Oh, yeah.
And if it didn't work, we wouldn't continue to use it. So anyway, I think it's actually easier to grow an audience, especially with the use of Facebook ads, and just a little budget. That's all you need. $5, $50 a month, whatever it is.
That's great. Let me, you talked about stats before, and I got some questions on stats that I'm going to ask you. So I apologize, but I kind of wrote down a note here. I want to ask you this:
Sure.
What stats do you think are real here? My insights, man. I see that, and I manage other people's Facebook pages. So I mean, I see, I put out my page is relatively new. My newest page has only been around for a couple months, and I had a post the other day that says it reached 43,000 people on the insights. I mean, there's no possible way my page reached that many people. I see the same thing, really high metrics here or low metrics where, and I think a lot of people don't know what to believe when they see those metrics.
Well, most people only look at reach. They look at reach and how many likes they've gotten. And I don't know if most people don't even realize they have these exports that they can dig into that has this incredible amount of data, but valuable data that actually reflects actions that they should be looking at. Not only actions, but the demographics of their audience and demographics of the people who are creating stories about them. Some incredible data in there. But I virtually ignore reach. I use reach as a point of reference, and that's it. I don't use it as a measurement of success or failure. So,
Right.
for example, I've written about this before, but reach to me, I consider an imaginary stat in that you don't know how many people actually saw it.
Right.
It's like someone who drove by my house and put up a sign and then drove away and said, Jon Loomer saw it. No, he didn't. You just drove by my house,
Right.
And so I don't know if you saw it, but I know if you clicked on something, anything. So what I don't think most people realize is that sure, like, comment, and share, I will know that. But if you click anywhere within my post, I'll know that as well. Now, I don't know if you did personally, but if somebody did, I will know that because that's a consumption. Facebook measures it a consumption or an engaged user. So those are important to me. Now, what's important to me isn't necessarily important to everybody else. It depends on your goals. My number one most important metric is a link click, which again, most people don't even realize that's a Facebook metric, but it is. And that's buried within the post level export under consumptions. Consumptions is probably my favorite metric because it actually measures clicks. So it measures link clicks, photo views, video plays, and other clicks. And other clicks is any kind of click, which includes creating stories. So those are things I focus on. I mean, other people would also focus on the post talking about this. I like the post talking about this a lot more than the full page talking about this because it focuses on creating stories about your content. So the commenting, liking, sharing, and all that. And we could go on this for a long time, but I don't stress out over even the talking about this in general stat. And a lot of people, I'm not one of those people who creates a lot of content that's comment a comment magnet, right?
Right.
Where you have this photo that has a cat on it or something. What I want is someone to click my link. So I follow specific types of engagement. Clicking a link or shares of a piece of content are really important to me. So not all engagement is created equal, essentially, for me.